tights and breeches, locks and hacks. Rachel and Will got your back. Cyber threats and password fails, still break it down with real details. Step into the convo, pull up a chair. Ideas are brewing, wisdom in the air. From vendors to zero trust, to keeping it real and keeping it just. One sips coffee, the other abstains, but both drop knowledge straight to your brain. Talking tech with a human touch, add some laughs, so we've got that much. Grab a cup and circle up our tea talk that won't corrupt. Firewalls up, stay alert, let's keep the hackers eating dirt.
I still love it. Oh, it's like, where'd Frank go?
I was hopping in, right? You know, I was trying to make that dramatic appearance.
It worked. It was very dramatic. I was like, oh no.
Should I try it again slower? Maybe I can do that Austin Powers thing, right? You know, walking down the stairs like this. Only problem is my camera kind of follows me a little bit. So,
all right. If y'all can't tell, today's gonna be fun. Welcome to the Coffee Table Talks. I'm so glad you're here. We're here. I was worried for a second. We lost Frank. Good.
I don't think anyone's ever said that before, that they were worried that they lost me. I mean, you know, that includes my wife, by the way. I think she's kind of proud.
Oh, no. If you're new here, I'm Rachel Arnold, the Human API with Secure Nation. With me, as always, is my co-host, Will McCullen, the program manager for the IT Center of Excellence. Stop! Oh! With Pima Community College in Tucson, Arizona. Look, you couldn't even break me. And with us is our very special and esteemed guest is Frank Victory, the vice president for OWASP Denver. And if you don't know what OWASP Denver is or does or how that functions, don't worry. We'll get into it. It's going to be fine. Nobody panic. There's going to be a few different QR codes that pop up in the upper left-hand corner of your screen. Those have been tested. Don't worry, they're not taking you anywhere stupid. That one goes to Frank's LinkedIn page where you can send him a friendly, hello, saw you on the Coffee Table Talk. Let's connect.
Cool.
That'll be fine. It'll be great. Anyhow. Oh, other fun note. There's a small, tiny, new office assistant in the background that is chaos creation in a furball 2-pound package.
So sometimes they'll be in the foreground, is what you're saying.
Yes.
All I can see is this.
His name is Oreo. That is my youngest son's new animale. So he's nuts. We went down to our local shelter, Baton Rouge, and picked him out of a crowd. Adopt, don't shop. I guess that's my message from that. I almost feel like Bob Barker right there. Like, spay and neuter your pets. Anyway, Oreo. Just so everybody knows. I see, good morning, Rob. We see you already. All I see is a shiny dome on Will's screen. Rude. Common joke in the range. Yes, it is. And good morning, Artez. It's good to see you. I'm sure we've got some more folks jumping in here. If you haven't figured it out, you can chat from the LinkedIn Live and the YouTube. And your comments will appear scrolling to the right. So don't embarrass your family or friends because the internet is forever. Okay?
Is that really the lesson here? Do we really not want to embarrass our family and our friends? Because, you know, I have kids and, well.
You're all grown adults. You do you. I just caution.
All right. As long as it's not a hard and fast rule.
I know. I've got lots of friends I like to embarrass on a regular basis.
Man, Brett Scott. So before I drop my kids off every morning, I tell them to make good choices. Sorry, it's just a carryover from my mom life into my non-sponsored podcasty live streamy life. So that's what happens. So Frank, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. I am very excited to learn more about OWASP Denver. I'm sure everybody else is too. So can you explain a little bit about what that organization is and what it does and its function and kind of its core mission in life?
Absolutely, absolutely. So OWASP, right, in general, right, Open Web Application Security project, it's mostly known. I mean, I think one of the biggest things that everyone knows it for is that top 10. And there is a global foundation, right? They're currently getting ready for AppSec Barcelona, I believe, out in Spain. But what some people may or may not know is that there are local chapters everywhere. And they range in size and frequency and everything else. I know I'm a little bit biased, but I'd like to say that the Denver chapter is probably one of the best and biggest ones out here, right?
We support that. You're the only one that's shown up to represent. So.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, most of these, I think what I hear, and I don't know firsthand, is that a lot of these meetups are maybe 20 people. There's some pizza and things like that, and some good talks and good education materials. The meetings that we have out here in Denver, we get some. We are like a lot on the sponsorship. We've got a good flow going. We have meetups where around about 70 people. We do this on the third Wednesday every other month, something along that line. And we have some really good education. We vet our speakers to ensure that they're not giving sales pitches, right? I mean, don't want a sales pitch. Right? Yeah, exactly.
Right.
And we're very good about making, or at least we try to make sure we are actually making sure. And we've got 3 or 4 people that are board members, and we ensure that, hey, you're not going to try to sell us anything. Now, that being said, we do give them a little bit of a sales pitch at the beginning of the meeting,
right?
But we limit them, right? And I think that everyone keeps walking away from these meetups with feeling safe, because the other thing that we do is we don't share any information about our attendees. Vince, who's the actual president of the chapter, along with there's also Alex and Lily, who are with our sister chapter in Boulder. We've all agreed. We have certain bylaws that says we won't share your information. And in fact, most of the board doesn't even have access by design to receive that information, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So you won't get spammed. You won't get those harassing phone calls or anything like that. We get the money, though, for a lot of these chapters from our sponsors, but we also hold an annual conference, about 400 people every March.
Wow.
And I have to say that this last conference was very, very successful, right? We had some great speakers. If you're familiar with the Metasploit tool, right?
Yeah.
It was created by H.D. Moore. He was our keynote.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's very awesome. Yeah.
And I have to tell you, he was like the most down-to-earth person ever. I mean, you would not expect him to think that he was this, I know him as basically a brilliant genius, right? He wouldn't come off as that arrogant. I mean, he's definitely brilliant. When you speak with him, you'll know that part, but he doesn't carry it on his shoulder or anything like that.
That reminds me of a friend that Will introduced me to, that he was all having fangirl moments about when I was in Arizona last time, Fitzgig.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
He was like, "You got to meet this guy." And Will, what was it that he did?
Fitzgig was the gentleman who wrote, back in the day, there was a utility called FW Dump, which was a tool to steal passwords from Windows. And so, he was one of my heroes back in the day, because that was one of the early tools that could lift Windows passwords like crazy. And it was fantastic. And so when he was down, could introduce him to all the students, and it was great. And it's like,
look at him! Look at how excited he is. He lights up from the inside. No, and then I met this man in person, and just the nicest human you'd ever meet. Just exactly what you were describing, Frank. Just salt of the earth, down to salt of the earth, down to earth, kind of human. Just he looked embarrassed that Will was so stoked. You know what I mean? He's like, I don't know why people think I'm neat. And Will's like, 'cause you're neat.
I would have to say that that HD Moore would be neat. I mean, I think that would be the best description of him. So
very cool.
Yeah, but I think part of what some people don't realize is that OWASP and all the board members, we're 100% volunteer. We don't do, I've actually probably been the longest standing member of the Denver chapter, probably more than 10 years now. And I haven't received a dime. Well, wait, hang on. I take that back. Last year, I'd like to say my salary was $250, right?
Okay.
But that $250 is all behind the decimal point, right? And that's because the last time I was at Dave & Buster's, I found a quarter on the floor. So
good job.
Yeah.
I like that. It was $250, like 25 cents.
It sounds so cheap when you say 25 cents, though, Rachel. I mean, $250, man. You got to go with that way.
Like 25 pennies. Is that better?
But we all get rewards, right? I mean, we all get rewards for doing things that are not exactly monetary. And I think that's why I keep doing it year after year.
I've got a couple of things that I do. We just got done wrapping up B-Sides NOLA. Mm-hmm. So I was invited to join the board this year and work with an amazing group of people there, CPAT, Najo Ifield, and Brandon Brown. It was a great event. It was wonderful. Absolutely lovely. Great talks, great crowd, sold out like the weekend before kind of situation. So they're looking to grow. That's something that I put a lot of effort and passion into. And that's one of those, I don't get paid anything kind of situation. And then I also volunteer a good chunk of my time to my local ISACA chapter, the Baton Rouge chapter. We're actually going to be putting on an event next week, which is why, for everybody else, we won't have a coffee table talk next week. I'm going to be at an in-person event in the middle of when we normally do our coffee table talk stream. So nobody freak out. You didn't miss it. But the event for 2 weeks out with Corey LeBlue is already up on the Secure Nation LinkedIn page. So you can go check that out.
Fine. Be that way.
I know.
Just leave us out in the dust.
I know. And look, even if you can't attend it, go check it out. Cause you guys, I got fancy. I made a session specific imagery to go with it. Cause I've been doing this show, Frank, for 4 years with mostly Will. And because it's like my passion project, it's like a community outreach kind of thing. This is not a sponsored. It is supported by Secure Nation, but it's, we don't do sponsorships here. It's just me for a very long time doing a lot of things. And then Meg is now here helping out with some of the moderating and stuff like that. So it's been like copy pasta, the same image for like 2 or 3 years, I think. So I finally figured out an easy way for me to update the tile to go with everyone. Good morning, Kara.
Good morning. Hey, I do have to say, since you did mention it on the B-sides, we do have some good B-sides out here in Colorado. Denver's coming up in September, and Colorado Springs, Terrence. So we've got Greg and Greg for the Denver chapter, and Terrence on the in the Colorado Springs chapter. And I mean, those guys work so hard. And there's a couple of other people on the Denver branch, right, for B-sides. I'm sure I'm forgetting them, but it's not on purpose.
Do you, if I say the name Jeff Tomkowitz, do you know who that is? Okay, I'm going to introduce you to.
Okay.
Jeff, I was talking, so I have a regular cadence with Jeff. I feel like him and I have become very good friends. Mm-hmm. And he was talking about getting ready for Colorado Springs. He helps put it together.
Okay.
So you two should definitely meet.
I've known Terrence for a long time, and if you guys do watch that chapter, I won their what do you call it? Their slideshow roulette, right? Whose slide is it, anyways?
Really?
Yeah, a couple of years ago.
Explain this game to me.
Oh, you haven't seen this game? So
no.
Well, they take a lot of seasoned presenters, and we put them in front of slides that they've never seen before. Right?
Okay.
And you have to present on it like you're an expert.
Najo, you guys, did you hear that?
Oh, well, if you haven't heard, I actually do this. I'm actually the host of the event for a lot of the Black Hills conferences, the Wild West Hacking Fest.
Frank, next year, 2026, you got to come do this in New Orleans with us.
Done. I mean, although I have to say we've done some very interesting ones, right? And including ones that involved knitting as well.
I love this.
Right.
Oh, that would be a blast.
How fun, right?
Yes.
That's fun. It's like how bullshitty is your bullshit?
Well, just think about it. Having to present a slide that you've never seen before, right? Like you're an expert. And then we slide it forward to another slide, right? And again, you are supposed to be the expert. You've never seen it coming. You don't even get a preview of the previous slide. And I had a little bit of an extra piece in there is that, well, heckling is not, while heckling is not required, it's strongly encouraged.
I'd have fun with that one.
Oh, that's so fun. Look, Jared said that sounds like fun. I agree, Jared. Good morning, Sylvia. We see you there too.
Oh,
but that's amazing.
The fun would be making up the slide decks.
Also.
I have some of those. I have some great ones. And in fact, later on, I'll have to find it. We actually have one of the Black Hills ones on YouTube.
Yes, share links later.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I can do that. And we had some great guests on there. Again, I'm the host, including, if you're familiar with it, I did a special one for John Strand.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Awesome.
And, John and I have known each other for probably over a decade now.
Yeah.
And I started off with that as saying, hey, John, remember we're still friends, right? And he's like, yeah, we'll see. We'll have to reevaluate that when we're done with this.
Okay. So what is there like a most memorable time, like a most memorable slide with a presenter?
Oh, boy. I think it was with the guy's name, his hacker handle is Mubix. And then there was also Mick Douglas. It was the first time we did this one. And I had them do 10 things to show love at the office.
Oh, no.
And it's out on YouTube. It's out on my YouTube page, right? It's Professor Frank is my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Okay. And it's out there. Although I don't know how well you're going to be able to hear it. I recorded it. And I'm laughing so hard, you may not be able to hear a lot of this stuff. So
Okay. Dr. Frank.
Professor Frank.
Professor Frank. Sorry.
Yeah.
Professor.
Yeah, you don't want me working on you in any capacity, Rachel. Trust me. You don't even want me giving you first aid.
Professor Frank.
Yep.
You're not pulling up for me. Did I? No, I spelled it right.
He can send you the link later.
No, I want to find it now. I'm so excited. Right, you might have to send me a link later.
I will do that.
Okay, great. Because I want one. I'm gonna make the human API follow you, and then but. This I'm so excited. You have no idea. Now I'm stoked. Well, I was already stoked, but
I like Rob's part in there about get HR involved with his answers. Flag on the play, 6 hours, micro sensitivity training.
Oh man.
I hang out with Rob pretty regularly too on a cadence, and he's fun. It's always a good time. I don't think he's heckling me. Rob, are you heckling me when we're done? I don't think so. I don't know. Look, I have problems understanding all social situations. Okay, I'm a little neurodiverse.
So you're the normal IT cybersecurity person, right?
Yeah, but I like to think that I'm more friendly. To be honest.
Hey, Dude, I got to give a shout out because one of the things that OWASP does that is incredibly helpful is the OWASP Juice Shop.
Mm-hmm.
So and none of you have ever played with that, that's fantastic. It's site front with errors and things like that. So here at Pima Community College, we have a student-run data center and we have a cyber warfare range. And in the cyber warfare range, every once in a while we have elements with K-12. And one of the fun parts was we had this kid who was in middle school, right? We're going through the course and he looks up and he says, is it okay if I use Burp Suite? Like, yeah, go for it. Middle school, right? And then once he gets to the place where he does the SQL injection and takes over admin, right? And what he is then doing is creating user accounts and trying to inject JavaScript in between the first and last names.
Okay. Oh, okay. And
the
trying to dump the accounts out, or
just whatever he can do.
Yeah.
Right. Well, but the cool thing is that this is a middle school mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And to be able to have those avenues for those kids to be able to explore and try anything they can get away with is just absolutely fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
When you're trying to teach cybersecurity.
Well, as you know, I mean, I'm an educator as well. I teach at university. Well, currently, I just finished up with San Diego. I currently have a cohort with Long Beach University as well. But I've also taught for Las Vegas and, of course, CU Boulder out here in their cybersecurity program. And I have to agree that, trying to get them to motivated, trying to get them to see those points, to try to get them to just out there. I mean, well, you've got to be doing the happy dance with that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So in the cyber range that we have, the other part is the instructors as they're going along. Part of the challenge is go ahead and hack the instructor while they're teaching. Right? Because they can do anything in that space. And that kind of ability to have that curiosity and hands-on, we desperately need more and more in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was interesting. I was teaching web application security, of course, to the University of San Diego, or sorry, San Diego State University is the correct name for it. But I was showing them the Burp Academy, right? That Burp Academy, and it really is a free thing. And I said, what are the things you should try? It's going to be Friday night. Try that instead of going out and partying. Try that instead of going out and watching TV or relaxing. And I'll have to warn you, it could get very addicting. I mean, because Burp Academy and the way that they formulate their challenges, they have the videos, they have the students that have submitted their own solutions to it. You may not want to stop after a while, right? And you're learning so much about web application security from all sides of it.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I'm looking at. Look, I already bookmarked it, and then I shared the link in the LinkedIn.
Awesome.
I'm like saving that for later.
Yeah, I mean, they do have some certifications there that you have to pay for, but my suggestion is try those challenges first. And I will have to tell you that you couldn't get through all the challenges and get ready for in less than 100 hours. Right? It would probably take you a lot more than that.
Wow.
And
I love that. I just made a post yesterday. Now I'm going to have to go back and edit and add this one to it.
Uh-huh.
But it was, yeah.
Cool.
That's great. I love this. Thank you for that, Frank. You're awesome. Already.
Since you're in those environments, if you could have kind of full run direction, what would you do to improve higher ed cybersecurity across the board?
Oh, Well, it's funny you asked that one because that's actually one of the things that I do pretty much every night since I teach 4 nights a week. And I do that every night and I get on my soapbox a lot, right? I get on my soapbox and I talk to the students. And I think part of it is you've got to be motivated. You got to do your time and you've got to have a goal, right? I think that's one of the problems that we have as an industry and from a training industry standpoint is what is your goal in entering this, right? And well, you know as well as I do, and of course Rachel does, is like, well, we want to give them a job in cybersecurity, right? You couldn't talk about all the different titles and all the different areas in cybersecurity in less than an hour, right?
No.
So we need to focus. I mean, there's that general ed and stuff. You should know things like subnetting. You should know some basic stuff about Windows servers, Linux servers, etc. But what is your end goal going into this? Is it going to be a SOC analyst? What does a SOC analyst actually do? Is it going to be, what I do during my day job now, risk management? Is it going to be penetration testing, right?
Right.
And then what do you have to do to get there, right? And I think part of it is to make sure that they are really involved and trying and putting in, again, the time. Right. If we think about that Ben Franklin quote, I think it says, tell me and I forget. Right. Teach me and I learn. And then I think the last one is going to involve me. Right. And I will remember. Yeah. And I think one of the things that we have to do with schools is make sure that we do involve them. Right.
That's what we didn't get a lot of time, but that's what. Oh, Frank, you're about to get an earful. I'm going to set Will up. He's going to knock him down. You ready? So Will at the IT Center of Excellence at Pima, that's what they've created for the students there is to have the actual real life hands-on experience, the doing part, the involve you part. They have like a student run data center. Will, is the SOC is the SOC coming or is it already?
So that's the student run data center. Because what we did is
center. Go through the next slide. Bring the slide back up. Hold on. There we go. Look at that. How awesome is that?
Wow.
I've been there.
Right.
It's
so
fantastic.
What we did is we separated out the whole building. As the Center of Excellence is separated from the rest of the college, it has its own internet feed. And so as such, the students run the whole place, right? They take care of the VDI environment that has like over 1,300 VMs that run our curriculum. They do it, not us. They control that space. Then we also have a CSOC, and we also have I don't want to spend too much time here, but the Arizona Cyber Warfare Range, where we put our culture right on the wall, leave your ego at the door. So everybody that walks in is both a teacher and a student, no matter who you are. And this is the range where all the workstations are Kali, Linux, and it has its own internet feed, does its own thing. And so as such, they've got the freedom to play and explore. That cool. Part is where students are encouraged to fail.
Yep.
Right?
It's so cool. I got excited. I was like, oh no,
wow.
Frank. You've opened a can of worms. You didn't even know.
I didn't know, but it's funny. I'm starting to learn that, we all have the same thing. And especially with what Will just said, encourage them to fail. It's okay to fail. Right. And in fact, one of my favorite movies, of course, it's technically a kid's movie, right? But Meet the Robinsons, right?
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And the kid fails and he's holding his head down and everyone starts cheering him on, right? You failed. It's like you failed. You learn more sometimes when you fail, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest thing is, can you get back up, right? And work on that again, right? Can you get back up and try again? Perseverance is absolutely necessary in our industry.
And with what you brought up earlier, right? Because students rebel at knowledge out of context. So you need to be able to have that part where they can do and take these, instead of just being factoids that people regurgitate, be able to take them and put them into use so that it now means something. It becomes something real. 100%.
Well, that's why a lot of times when I start talking about, in my lessons, it's like, what can you do now, right? Walk into this, and can you explain to your support group, I call them their support group, which has got to be their family, their friends, etc. Can you explain to them what that lesson is, right? What I just taught you right now. Can we talk about user enumeration? Can we talk about passwords? And try to explain it to them. And the thing about it is that if you do fail at it, that's okay, right? If they have questions you can't answer, bring them back to me and let's discuss it again, right? Let's try that again. And again, that is an exact great place to fail at. Right?
Yeah. And so you've done with several universities, right? Some of the difficulties in those environments is that if you start doing stuff, you can have IT go, right?
Right.
So if we're teaching IT, if those are the tools we're doing, we need a space where they can grow and do and play with without repercussion. I mean, you're involved also with the Black Hills folks. They do that all day long.
Well, I mean, isn't that the definition, though, of part of that of hacking? I mean, hacking in general isn't bad, right? I mean, the activists are, right? Those are the bad guys. That I try to make that delineation. But hacking within itself, it's not a bad thing. It's not horrible at all, right? I mean, it's all about making things work better or pushing those limits. And I think that could be some of those motivations and those things that make us do better as a society outside of cybersecurity.
The live stream with Corey LeBlue in a couple of weeks. He's a penetration tester, and I was scheduling out posts this morning about the importance of having your network tested in that way and why that mattered. So it just marries beautifully into your thoughts around it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I think the biggest thing, though, when we learn about penetration testing and we think about it, it's also about the defense, right? Yeah. I mean, if I walked up to Will and punched him in the face and said, okay, well, you got to get your defenses. I was able to hurt you. But if I don't turn around and teach Will, right, on how to block me, on how to stop me,
right,
the lesson is worthless.
Right.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, the penetration testing isn't just about the hacking, it's the report that you give afterwards. That's
that's helpful.
But it's not about regurgitating what the scans say, what the tools say, right? What does that mean to the business? I spent some time as a penetration tester on the external side. Do we understand what the goal of the business is as well, right? And it's not just, well, we got to protect our customers. No, we've got to really get down and understand, what are your lines of business? What's your most critical piece of that business?
Right.
If it goes down, what's that true impact?
Right.
And we have to really get in with the business, understand what the business is. Right.
Oh, you mean build the machine to fit the people instead of the other way around?
Exactly. So.
Awesome. 100%.
Yeah. So how did you get into this, Frank? How did you start out? Did you always want to be Frank Victory, VP OWASP Denver when you grew up?
First off, I haven't grown up yet, so I don't know.
Yes. Right. Welcome to the club.
Yeah. But I think, let's see, it was interesting. I started off, back in high school. I actually passed a high school version of the bar exam because I wanted to be an attorney at the time.
Wow. Attorney Frank Victory.
Yeah.
What a name for an attorney, you guys. What a branding opportunity.
That is actually a good one, right?
I see you on billboards already all throughout your local city.
That's a good trial right there. Right. That way.
win your
But
case with
I
Frank
did. I
Vickery.
did end up joining the Marine Corps instead, right?
Okay.
I joined the Marine Corps. My parents were very big on, I was first generation, so my parents were very big on this is the best country in the world. You need to pay something back to your country, right? So I joined the Marine Corps. My computer broke, right, while I was in the Marine Corps. And I called up support and I said, I need some help on how to fix this. And they were like, it'll be this much. I'm like, I can't afford that. I'll figure it out myself. And I did, right? And since started my career and spent a lot of time in IT. About, 15, 20 years later, I started getting into cybersecurity.
Wow.
And a lot of it was actually, I owe it to a guy, you'll probably hate the fact that I'm going to name his name here, but Ed Vasquez, who invited me to my first SANS conference.
Why would I hate that?
Well, he might hate that. He's kind of low-key a bit.
I was like, no.
No.
Human API.
Yeah.
No. We share.
Ed is actually one of the best guys out there. He invited me to the conference. At that point, I didn't even know what SANS was. I had to initially go figure out what SANS was, and I said, "Sure, I'll go with you. You'll pay. If you're going to pay for it, your division to pay for it, I'll go with you." And I went there and fell in love with the cybersecurity end of it.
Yeah.
And I just started from there. And now I work full time. I help out, or I help run out the Denver OWASP chapter. I actually teach at a couple of universities, and I have a podcast, or I help out with the Colorado Equal Security podcast.
Wait, what's it called? Did you put a link for this?
I can put that in there.
And I'll share it with the LinkedIn group.
Yeah.
Sorry, YouTube. Not that I don't like you. It's just that's up to Will.
So I don't own the podcast. I'm a guest on the podcast. It's owned by Rob and Alex with Colorado Equal Security.
Okay.
But they do, the first portion is the news. The second portion, I actually do this portion. I take your role, Rachel.
Oh.
And I am the interviewer. We just posted one. We did one with Jason Haddix. I think he's well known in the industry.
Yeah. Wonderful
podcast. Broke a lot of the rules in the podcast because I'm supposed to keep it under an hour, and I think it's about an hour and 10 minutes, something like that. It's we got to go. We're having way too much fun here because it's all about the personality. It's getting to know Jason and some of the other folks at more of that people level.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I like to do too. I'm not cool enough or audio visual nerd enough for podcasting. I don't know. When I got this started, it was COVID. Okay. And I saw, the trend of everybody, starting podcasts. Cause what else are you going to do? We all had to sit at home and chill. So, but I didn't know anything about podcasting, but I did know how to hit a live button on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So we went the live streaming route. People sometimes misrepresent, misname us. No, that's wrong.
But just think about it. You tried, and I'm going to assume at some point you failed at it, but you learned.
Oh, it's permanent. You can go watch all that first probably year or so. There's a whole lot of trial and error, and sometimes there's new features or buttons that the streaming platform that we utilize here comes out with. What's that button do? During the live stream, because I'm a squirrel and I click things. And then I'm like, oh, that's what that does. But that's the other reason why we also have a 30-minute pre-show is so that I can get the squirreliness out of me, right? I learned and adapted and changed my workflow.
But I think that's awesome, though. I mean, again, I think that proves our point to earlier, right? Trying, failing, we learn from it, and we try again. And I think the best part about this community is that there can be a lot of support from it because we have all gone through the same thing.
Yeah, that's very true.
And
very true. I wouldn't
be
anywhere. Go ahead.
Yeah, community is a big important part of it, right? The bad guys share like crazy.
They sure do.
To change across the industry the conception of trying to be the best in the room and start to be sharing and helping and supporting each other. to help make a difference and save this nation.
Yeah.
That's just my 2 cents.
Well, I think that's the nice part about things like my OWASP group, the B-sides, right? I mean, I think a common theme across all the OWASP chapters, across all the B-sides, is that you're not going to have what you just mentioned. You're not going to have that person that's always the best person in the room, or at least carries that thing on their shoulder.
Right.
Most everyone that goes to these conferences are just very down-to-earth people. They're out there to help each other. Oh, you have an issue, you have something. Here, let me help you with that.
Right.
Right.
I know I wouldn't be nearly as far in my cybersecurity career now without a vast ocean of supportive folks that I've learned from, spoken with, developed very serious friendships alongside. I mean, the mentors alone are just dazzling humans, just the best.
Yeah.
And they're always, I try not to pester them, but they're always, there when I do need them. And it's just so important that not only do you develop the skills in that academic, certification type path, but also that you develop the relationships that are going to carry you throughout the rest of your career. I know there's a lot of people out there right now that feel very discouraged, being laid off, right? I know CrowdStrike just had another big one.
Ouch.
Yeah.
There's a bunch that have come from some changes to policy here in the U.S. That have really hurt some families out there. And it's in those times when your network, your support system is going to be able to help you find that next opportunity, and also keep you from feeling so very alone, because it can feel very hopeless in those moments. So it's paramount to stay connected to each other. Remember, humans are herd animals. Okay. Yeah. I know I'm neurodiverse. Okay. I struggle in social situations, but that doesn't mean I don't like social situations or I don't see the value in social situations. It just means maybe I should have some warning labels around my neck that are like, sorry if that was mildly inappropriate. I'm not good at this.
But I also think it's also, you can't just say all the social, I mean, I'm uncomfortable in the DEF CON's known for its party and its music and its dancing and things like that.
I don't go to those.
That's not my things. I don't go to them either.
I don't go to those. I can do different events as long as they're in a style that I'm comfortable in. Loud spaces make my whole body just suddenly buzz with anxiety that makes me not okay. I will have an attack.
But just think about it. If you ever just gone to DEF CON, one of the best things is just hanging out in the hallway and meeting people in the hallway.
See, and those are my favorite places to be, are like hallway con. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm good at hallway con. Also, coffee shop. I'm also good in those situations. They've got that lo-fi music playing in the background too. That's so tingly and lovely.
Well, I think that's where we should encourage people. And of course, we have our conferences, right? And these meetup groups where we can, in those social situations, be with other like-minded people, be with those other introverts, maybe, right? Yeah. Be with those other people that may be inappropriate.
That's another reason why I like doing, that's why this is a passion project, right? It's for the community outreach and the mutual networking. I like to give different options for people to enjoy this stream. So they can kind of pick their level of anonymity, right? If you want to be more out there, join from the LinkedIn Live, right? And then people will understand more about you at a glance. If you'd like to just test it out or just kind of be a little bit more anonymous, go create yourself a throwaway account on YouTube. and it's fine. And that's okay. We accept everybody. And that way, if you're new, you've been here forever, you're in the middle and struggling, or you're switching in from another career, that's okay. There's always room at the coffee table.
Yeah. And I'm, especially for those out here in the Denver area, I'm always available to listen to people sometimes and talk. And, maybe it's just opening that ear up, right? And I encourage other people that are listening and part of this podcast to offer that to other people and be a mentor. I mean, I have a mentor, right? His name's Andy Lewis. Absolutely wonderful guy. Been a mentor for a long time. Reach out to those type of people, right? Talk to them. I would not be where I am today without Andy's support, right? He is an absolutely wonderful man. He really is, and great influencer in the society and down to earth guy.
That's awesome. I love that you have that too. And I love that you are that. That's why you're here. If anybody's ever wondering about how you can be a guest, that's sort of how that goes.
Well, I think I reached out to you, right? I mean, I think I heard you on this, and I reached out to you about this, and then I'm actually, and very truthfully, I'm very honored to be here, Rachel. I'm so honored that you invited me to this.
Yeah, I mean, are you kidding me? You reached out, and I was whispering to the side. I was like, "You guys, what do I do?" I was like, "Don't move." Frank just asked me. Usually Frank, I ask other people, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is cool."
So Frank also as an educator, right? Teaching classes, I know you've had situations where you've had students come back and tell you the effect that you had in their lives. Mm-hmm. You've also had the chance to help students that have been in desperate situations. That's a huge honor and great thing to do. Do you have any stories along those lines?
Oh, yeah. Well, one short point, I think, is that I taught at the community colleges for several years, right? Almost a decade. And I am the one instructor where students have passed with, B pluses, A's, and then have taken my class again anyways, right? And
I would take your class twice.
Yeah, I had a couple students that took it 3 times. And it's like, why are you here? You already passed my class. And they're like, they enjoyed it so much, they hit it again. But I do have a friend, a mentor, my first guy, and he is now, started off working as a service advisor, right, at Honda. And now he's probably one of the best web application pen testers out there, right? He's broken into, he educates the things, and he's had that passion for it. And he stopped doing a lot of those, I guess, wasteful things where he was watching TV all the time. He was doing other things. He fell in love with the industry. I have actually probably over 20 students that I've helped mentor and get into this industry. Really spent that time saying, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you should be focused on. Being able to get them to, what? Write this paper up. I'll look at it. I'll read through it. You know what? You got to make this better, right? And actually, one of my mentees, I guess one of my old students from Las Vegas University, right? He now has a job that pays him twice as much. But of course, it's not about the money, right? It's about happiness. It's about motivation. And he is on such a strong path going forward.
And folks, you don't have to just be a teacher to do that. Mm-hmm. You can do that for anybody if you're in the industry.
Yeah. And I think, both at a, technical level and at a emotional level. I mean, especially if you've been in that industry, we all know that there's those variances in this industry. Share some of that knowledge, share some of the things. And honestly, don't be afraid to share your mistakes as well, right? Maybe
share your mistakes.
Yeah. But don't let it get to that point where you're just bashing a company or bashing somebody else, right? Because then that becomes very unproductive.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I try to keep my LinkedIn posts very optimistic, looking up, driving forward, right?
Yep.
You guys have no idea. I probably struggle 3 or 4 times a week getting ready to type some just spew hate and venom. And I have to stop myself. And I'm a pretty upbeat person if y'all hadn't figured that out.
Right.
I get it. it's hard. You gotta control that part of you a little bit and just think about the things that you're putting out there. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
No. I mean, I think that again, we're humans, right? We have to address those emotions. The question is, don't let it, consume you, right? I mean, yes, you need to get that out. You are making those mistakes. You are being very angry about it, and that's okay, right? Get it out of your system. And then how are you going to solve this? How are you going to make yourself better? Whether or not it's, hey, I have to go and make amends with it. Maybe I need to separate myself from this person, etc. And, it's funny. One thing I actually don't tell a lot of people is that I decided to join the Marine Corps, right, and not follow my law career because I had to get away from my friends. I had decided that, my friends at that time in high school were losers, right? And if I wanted to make something of myself, I had to separate myself from them, and I had to get away from them.
What a hard thing to do.
It was not easy,
No.
because these were some very, very good friends of mine.
Right. And you love them,
I did.
And it's hard to realize that sometimes the group you've surrounded yourself with aren't going to be able or capable of supporting you on the path to the goals you actually are really driving to achieve. That's a hard realization.
Yeah.
To separate yourself and try to make something better.
Mm-hmm. That takes a lot of grit and quality decision making, right? And the other thing I think you can agree, right, is that for folks that might be listening in, professionals in this industry, you may be in that situation like you described, Frank, where you're feeling angry, where you're just you want to bring out that righteous sword of justice and lay out. But in all the folks that are in this industry, folks that a lot of people look up to, folks that have done great things, all have those same moments of feeling that. It's not that they don't feel it. It's just that they've made a quality decision not to react, but to act and to do the right thing.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where, again, people that are listening to this and trying to, really, see how they can make themselves better, right? What can they do? I mean, yes, I'm sure we all have had those dark moments, right? How do you, instead of just complaining about it, writing about it, etc., how do you make sure the next person doesn't fall into that same trap, right? Or run into that thing, right? Pick somebody, share that experience. Don't go down into that dark place. I mean, maybe a little bit, right? You might have to paint that story, but only paint the picture, right? And then say, well, what could I have done better? Or how can I help Will? How can I help Rachel, right? Not fall into that spot, right? And avoid that situation.
Because it is a trap, isn't it?
It is. And it's not easy to get out of. But that's where, again, we look at our support group. We look at the meetup groups. We look at, there's a live stream, Let's Talk Software Security by my friend Dustin Lair, where he puts that on once a month, and he ends up just talking to other people about some of the issues we have. And it's not all technical, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
mental health is a big thing in our industry, and
yeah,
you need to keep track of it, just like you do all the systems and trying to figure out how to make solutions work. You have to keep an eye on yourself as well and realize the influences that are happening and act and not react.
Yeah. I'm probably going to have to steal that from you, Will, the act and not react part. I am going to have to steal that from you, bud.
Hey, no problem. One of the things I tell students is, especially in this industry, right? Because now that we have things happening in social media specifically designed to get people upset so that they either click on something that they wouldn't normally click on or do something that they normally wouldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
I tell students that if you are in this industry, you don't have the luxury of getting angry anymore, because when you get angry, you basically take remote control and you say, here, I'm giving you the remote control to you.
Yeah.
And they may not deserve that.
Nope.
So
Wow. Yeah, that is really, really heavy, Will. That, I mean, it's true. Absolutely.
You love
Okay.
all the wisdom that just gets poured out everywhere, all over this stream today. I do. So much. That's what's
Yeah.
great about these talks, is just sitting here and then eventually, like, these little things just will resonate with you. And it'll be different stuff for different people. Like, I'll have people reach out to me after coffee table talks and they're like, I really love this part. Or that was a great show today. I was in tears during this part. Or I laughed so hard.
Mm-hmm.
Till I cried, kind of situation. Like, it was just great. I love doing this.
Oh,
I love doing this with you guys.
if you think about it, ask anyone. When have you made a really good decision when you were really angry?
Yeah, never.
I don't know if I've ever made a really good decision, though. I mean, I guess in general.
Come on.
Well, I have to take that back. I married my wife, so, and after 30 years, we're still married. So, yeah, she is that wonderful other side of me, and I don't say my better half. She's the better 3/4 of us. So,
yay. So what you're saying is she makes bad decisions, but you're doing great.
yeah, I guess so. But don't tell her that, right? Don't tell her that. She's,
Well, it'll be our secret.
The secret. All the people that are in the stream right now, don't tell her.
Nobody tell Frank's wife. He shot too high.
I did do that. I definitely did do that. So
what was that quote by Ogden Nash? I think it was. If you want to keep love flowing with love in the loving cup, when you're right, admit it. No, when you're wrong, admit it. And when you're right, shut up.
Yeah. It's like that. The winning key to mine and Josh's marriage is that both of us are so not self-confident that we're pretty sure the other one's settled. And we're constantly like, we don't want the other one to find out that we think the other one's settled.
Yeah.
So we're trying to we're like real nice to each other every day.
I like Rob's comment though. It's like he's talking about I married my wife in anger. No, I just wore her down. I just wore her down. Yeah, she after a certain point she just gave in. So
she was like, fine, I guess.
Yeah. I think that's what she said during the wedding vows. Instead of I do, I think she said I guess. So
fine, I guess.
He's better than nothing.
Sure,
Right.
why not?
Yeah.
Frank was like, I do with all my heart. Mrs. Frank was like, yeah, I guess.
It might have been whatever, something like that too.
That's terrible. I can't wait to meet your wife. I won't tell her. It's going to be incredible, though, because I'm going to shake her hand and immediately start laughing. And she's going to be like, this lady is so rude.
No, she'll probably be laughing with you. And, we'll see you at B-Sides next year, right? Or Slideshow Roulette, right?
Yes. That's amazing.
Yeah. You don't want to sign greeting cards with a shruggy.
Okay, guys. This is silly. All right, we went all over the map. We did great. We learned all about OWASP Denver. Frank shared so many great resources and links for everybody to check out. Those are in the YouTube. The YouTube. That's a Will thing. They're in the LinkedIn chat. Again, reminder, no coffee table talk next week. Rachel's doing an in-person live ISACA Baton Rouge chapter event. If you're in the Baton Rouge area, there's a sign-up link. Hit me up on LinkedIn and I'll send it to you for the Eventbrite. We're going to Jubin's. If you haven't been to Jubin's, you guys, it's so good. You should come. We're doing that. And then 2 weeks, we're going to hang out with Corey LeBlue. That's my alarm that says hurry up, lady. We're going to hang out with Corey LeBlue and talk about pen testing and why it matters. If you're a pen tester, come along too. Then you can just like pump Corey up the whole time and be like, yeah, what that dude said. It'll be fun. Frank, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us. I had such a good time. I hope you did too.
I did. I've truly enjoyed this. I would love to come back if there's any opportunity to just talk, and definitely we'll be hanging out in the crowd though.
Oh,
And if you're ever by Tucson, come by and we'll give you the red carpet.
Okay. Well, if I can do one last shameless plug here, if I'm allowed. The Rocky Mountain Information Security Conference is the end of the month. I am giving a workshop on day 1 of that on adversary simulation. And while it's based on MITRE Caldera, we're going to be talking a lot more. It's a 3-hour workshop, but we're going to be talking about how these phishing emails actually work. So at the core is the Caldera adversary simulation, but we'll be using things like the social engineering toolkit to help formulate the agent to get it onto the machine. Right.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's that Snowfrock link.
Well, that's not the Snowfrock link. It's actually Snowfrock won't be till March of 2026. But let me give you the it's just rmisc.org.
Okay.
Oops, I gave the wrong one. Hang on.
That's fine. I can wait.
But it's rmisc.org. I have the workshop on day 1. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. It's right after lunch. So I don't know. Again, I'm going to be getting a lot of people that might start falling asleep. And I'm not sure if it's because of the food or because of my personality.
It can't be the personality.
No? Okay. Okay.
Hang on. Let me make sure I share this where I should.
I can do a quick shout out too for any of those in the Tucson area tonight. We have a guest speaker coming by. She's awesome. And bring USB drives because we'll have gigs of PCAPs. It will not be streamed or recorded because it'll have sensitive information.
What do you guys call those? The underground?
Yeah, it'll have active investigation type stuff, but it'll be a whole lot of fun and really cool. So come by and we'll have a good time and start to analyze and see what we can help find.
That sounds awesome. I mean, I almost want to jump on a flight now, Will, and head over to Tucson because that sounds awesome, man. I mean, looking at PCAPs, some people think they're boring, but especially if you have somebody that's guiding you through them, that insight is probably going to be amazing.
I teach Wireshark, and I tell my students, I think it's really fun. A lot of people think that there should be medication for that, but I think it's great.
Well, Will, I think you are medication, right? I think that you're in a good way. In a good way.
Oh man!
Wow, man.
All right, you knuckleheads. This is the part where we wave and smile really pretty.
And she says, get off my live stream before you embarrass yourself even more, right?
Yeah, you're doing great. I love you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.